All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Mike Ivanko, and I am the VP of Marketing for From. At From, we are committed to partnering with suppliers who offer innovative and industry-specific products and services that help our customers. And today is part of that ongoing effort to educate and inform our partners in the food and beverage market and talk about the cutting edge solutions that can help to enhance your safety, efficiency, and reliability. So today we're happy to collaborate with ABB, who is one of our strategic partners. They are a global leader in industrial technology and innovation, and they have products that are tailored to meet the standards of the food and beverage industry. They offer durability and performance in the environments that our customers are working in. And so it's my pleasure to introduce speaker Brian Barr. He is the Market Development Manager for ABB's food and beverage, consumer packaged goods, and pharmaceutical sectors in the US and Latin America. Brian brings a ton of knowledge and expertise to this presentation. He'll be talking about a range of ABB solutions designed specifically for food and beverage, from sanitary drainage systems to advanced cable ties and grounding options. And I hope that today, anybody who's joined us will leave with insights that will help improve your food and beverage operations. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome Brian and pass the mic over to Brian. So Brian, thank you, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, and welcome everybody. Thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to talk about how we can optimize really around safety and reducing cost. I know both of those are key. We're really going to touch on, I have over 200,000 products, so obviously I can't touch on anything. So we're really going to touch on liquid ingress protection, corrosion protection, and then, ways to ensure food safety. I'll hit you guys with some key takeaways at the end and then share some additional resources. Then we'll open up for Q&A. A little bit about me, what really qualifies me to be up here to talk about all this. So I am the market development manager. I cover food and bev. I also have pharma and consumer product goods. I sit in the US and Latin America region for our team. I am one of ABB's global F&B experts based out of here in Memphis. I have been around a very long time. I came up through the T&B acquisition. But I have over 20 years, engineer by education, have been in the food and bev industry for over 20 years and a variety of other industrial markets. So let's just jump into it. Just kind of full transparency so you guys kind of know what we're talking about today. ABB is a monster. I'm sure everybody knows it. ABB is the overseeing group with the 4 business areas. I sit in the electrification business area. Each of our business areas breaks down into divisions. I sit in what is called installation products. That doesn't mean a lot to most people. That's just ABB language for Thomas & Betts. So when we are talking about Thomas & Betts, we're talking about our premier installation. Commercial essential, we do offer utilities, but for food and bev, we only focus on premier installation and commercial essential products. So this is going to be our cable protection systems, connectivity and grounding, wire and cable management under Premier. Everybody, our brands have been around a long time. We have over 120 years of history. Commercial essentials, that's where we focus on metal framing, boxes, and fittings. What does that mean? Where do our products go? So the way that we look at food and bev is it's a vertical market. Our products will go into any new projects, so new builds, plant expansions, renovations. We also support very well at the plant level, doing maintenance, repair, and operation, coming in, identifying potential issues, making recommendations on how to resolve those issues. And then we also work a lot with the OEMs here in the US with me pushing and then at a global level. So what is it that these ABB T&B products do? So we're able to provide customers with solutions. That's really how we approach this. We're looking at ways that we can help your facility with your issues to reduce your overall cost in order to be in line with regulatory compliance while improving your efficiency, reliability, safety, hygiene, and giving you flexibility in your electrical system. That's really what the whole T&B pitch is. That's what I work with engineering, R&D on. We're kind of unique in the fact that we have engineer R&D under one roof. I sit here at our HQ for the T&B, so downstairs below me on our ground floor, we actually have an innovation center. So for us, it's really all about bringing products to market faster. So if there are products that do not exist that you wish existed, we would love to talk to you, pick your brain about it, because we are always looking for new product ideas for innovation. All right, so what are some ways that we can help you guys? Well, corrosion resistant, we know corrosion's a major issue. The statistics show that costs the industry anywhere from $2.1 to $3 billion a year. We have different products that go into it. When you're thinking about corrosion, it's really a material property. There's no way that I can come in and prevent corrosion, but with the right material selection, I can help you to prolong it, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. We also help with ingress protection. So the way that we test products are really different than anybody else. I know that Food and Bev is familiar with kind of a trial and error approach. Nobody really knows how a product is going to perform until they install it, they evaluate it themselves. We've taken a step back, years ago of how do we improve testing. We've worked with a lot of different companies coming up with washdown testing. So we do what is called Food and Bev accelerated washdown testing to kind of give us an idea of how our products are going to perform as we develop them. We also do beta testing, so bring the product out in the field as we're developing it, testing it at a facility, letting them just eat it up, hit it with the chemicals. We also have material scientists on staff who test a lot of our stuff to the actual caustic and harsh chemicals that are being used to clean Food and Bev. We help with efficiency, reliability, continuous operations, and then something that's always important to me and to anybody else in the Food and Bev industry is food safety. We know that anytime there is a food safety issue, it's $10 million. Cost of downtime is very expensive. We know that anytime that you're going out there doing a changeover, that is cost. Anytime you're troubleshooting, that is cost. So what we want to do is be able to provide you products that work, that take into account all the different issues that you're dealing with, so you can install it. I would love to be able to say that you can forget about it forever, but that's just not reality in Food and Bev, but you can forget about it for a while. So let's just jump into it. We'll talk about these three issues. I will give you recommendations. I'm going to recommend what we call our lead Food and Bev products. Like I said, it's not obviously everything we offer in the Food and Bev, but these are core products just for the Food and Bev or farmer consumer product industry. So liquid ingress, we all know that this is number one reason for electrical system downtime. In my career, I have been in over 1,000 Food and Bev plants. I have seen a lot of different things. I've seen a lot of different issues. Every picture to the right here are pictures that I took while I was in the plant. I did have to make the agreement that I would not share where these pictures came from in order to be able to use them for the presentations. So I am very respectful of that. I do understand the need for confidentiality anytime we're making products for consumers. But there's a lot of stuff that goes on. There's pullouts, there's cable protection breaking, there's failing gaskets, there's missing covers. I mean, the list goes on and on that are just open paths into the electrical system. Cost of downtime, On average, we hear it's $10,000 to $30,000 per hour. There's a case study out there that calls it out at $256,000 per hour if the total facility goes down. Liquid ingress also contributes to food safety. So if you can keep the inside of the electrical system dry, things won't grow inside there. There is the matter of condensation. That's a much harder issue to deal with than liquid ingress. When we talk about liquid ingress, it's really the liquid getting in from the washdown process. Condensation is kind of its own whole separate issue. You can mitigate condensation, but it's kind of like corrosion. Right now, there's nobody that can prevent it. The liquid ingress also is potential safety issues. So anytime that you have a break, anytime that you have an open path, I mean, it's just a perfect opportunity, and water just needs a tiny little hole to get in. Water will settle, it will follow gravity, it will pool. I've seen condensation inside of enclosures where it literally looked like a waterfall. When you think about liquid ingress, your weak points are really your non-metallic. So a lot of these chemicals that are being used to clean get absorbed into the non-metallic material. Over time, it's like putting a plastic out in the sun. It is going to dry it out. It is going to make it brittle. It is going to lead to breaking. So anything that's non-metallic is a potential weak point if chemicals are hitting it. Gaskets are weak points. Sealing rings are weak points. So really, everything could have an IP69 rating the day you install it, but if you are not doing preventative maintenance or walking through and looking at things like that, then that can lead to much bigger issues. So when it comes to liquid ingress, what would be a suggested solution? So when we took a step back, we also took a step back and looked at how are we testing, how are we rating products? We were like everybody else. We would come in, we would rate a fitting, say, okay, our fitting is UL4, 4X12, and IP69 rating. People would install it, and then they would call and they would say it still leaks. So what we do now is we take a different approach. We can self-certify like NEMA, like anybody else. We prefer to go the UL route because that is third-party testing. It lets you know that we're not saying, hey, trust me, this works. So our products or our systems are rated for UL4, 4X12, and IP69. Now, when I say system, I am talking about the fitting. I am talking about the sealing rings. I am talking about the lock nut, the flexible conduit going into the conduit body. Our entire system will hold the ingress protection rating. So now when somebody calls me and says, hey, your flexible conduit's leaking or your fitting's leaking, I know that they are not using my fitting with my flexible conduit. And that's something that happens all the time when you start mixing different manufacturer components. Again, water only needs a tiny little path to get inside. So we actually control all the dimensions on our fittings, all the dimensions on our flexible conduit. We do this intentionally so we can make sure that it seals properly. So if you are using our fitting, our flexible conduit, our lock nut, our sealing ring, then you will get a UL4, 4X12, IP69 rating across the system. Now, if you have an IP69 motor, if you have IP69 push buttons, controls, disconnects, anything that it's going into, it will hold either the IP69 or it will hold the 4X ratings. Conduit bodies, they have gaskets, so it will start off holding the ratings, but it is something that you need to check. Now, if you want to mitigate condensation, we also offer a dome drain. What's unique about the dome drain is it does have a weep hole. It will hold an IP69 ingress rating at the seal to any box, conduit body, closure panel, but it will not hold an IP69 rating at the weep hole. It will only hold an IP59 rating. And what that means, it will keep all the water out. That's the IP9 part of it. But when we do the Dissipate test and they put the vacuum into the panel and they start pulling the particles through, it does allow some dust. But it is an open path and it keeps water out. So it was specifically designed to do that. It also does come with an optional screen. Some people do want this want the screen, but you can use it with or without it. Corrosion, like I said earlier, it's going to cost this industry anywhere from 2.1 to $3 billion per year. The majority of corrosion that is happening in food and bev can only be prolonged. But there is one type of corrosion that you actually can prevent. Corrosion in itself is a potential product contaminant. So when it starts to flake, particles come off, depending on where it's installed, it can fall into the food. Corrosion is really a material property. What is the best material for corrosion protection? It's stainless steel 316. It has the 2% molybdenum additive into it. That's why it gives you superior corrosion protection. Stainless steel 304 holds up in most applications. There's also PVC coated product. But when we talk about how do we protect, like I said, the stainless steel 316 absolutely will help you out. The 304, like I said, is going to hold up. The PVC coated is going to hold up. A lot of things, common things that I do see is people going with non-metallics because non-metallics don't corrode. You just have to be very cautious of where you're going to put the non-metallics because of the chemicals. If you are just doing a kind of a hose down on the outside wall, it's ideal to go out there. But I mean, if you're talking about putting it on the production equipment or anywhere near where the washdown crew is going to hit it, touch it, stand on it, use it as a ladder, it does not hold up well. Now, the one corrosion that you can prevent is galvanic corrosion. So what galvanic corrosion is, it's really the mating of two dissimilar metals when moisture is present. So we had a trend going around a few years ago where people were mating stainless steel 316 conduit with PVC coated conduit bodies. And after about 6 months, people were upset because the conduit bodies were corroding. You buy these two products because they're supposed to be superior corrosion resistant, but when you put them together, that's not the case. Independently, they work just fine. But the nobler metal, the stainless steel in this case, will actually accelerate the lesser metal. So when you start putting steel to stainless steel, aluminum to stainless steel, mixing and matching metals, you will start seeing that corrosion accelerate, and it's an easy fix. Just make sure that if it is a washdown area or any moisture is present, that you're not mating two dissimilar metals. I always encourage everybody to standardize on materials by zone or area, just for that fact that that's just an easy way to prevent that. And probably my most favorite thing to talk about really is food safety. There's a lot that goes into food safety. There's no way we're going to solve it all. But I mean, average cost of a recall is anywhere from $10 million to $30 million. With our type of products, it could be material, it could be poor design. I have been in so many different facilities and I've seen so many different things. The picture here to the bottom right, they were responsible for 95% of the food safety recalls by the FDA in 1 quarter. So after that happened, they asked me to come out and do a walkthrough. What I found is they actually had a trough area sitting above their conveyor belt. What was happening is over time, everything was settling into that trough. Every 2 foot down the conveyor belt, they had a drop. So it was just a perfectly open path for things, particles, everything to fall on top of the food. They had the material right. It was just poor design. What they ended up having to do is they ended up having to move that over to the outside wall and then bring in the drops with pin and sleeves from the ceiling, which pretty much eliminated the problem. They did move to products that have antimicrobial properties that I'll talk about in a minute. But when you're talking non-metallics close to a process near the conveyor belt, those can break, those can become brittle, those can fall into the process. Anything we use for non-metallic, there's a reason that we make them blue. But anywhere that bacteria has a place to hide, exposed threads, they are difficult to clean, so food particles get trapped into those. So there's just really a lot of different things that you need to take into consideration. We don't make great, exciting products like some of these other divisions, but our products go everywhere into food and bev. So there's a lot of thought that goes into developing these products to make sure that they're doing exactly what you need them to do. When it comes to standards, if you are mixing standards, it is impossible for you to control food safety. You just can't. It's one of these things where you have to go all in, or you're not able to control the degree of food safety in your plant. So anywhere a particle could hide, get trapped, weak points with non-metallics, poor design, those are all things you need to take into consideration. When it comes to a recall, it's going to deteriorate your brand. 83% of people can name a brand that has been recalled. 55 to 57% of people will either temporarily or permanently stop using a brand. We had one recently that hit with McDonald's with the onions on the quarter pounder. I have 3 kids. My kids love McDonald's. My wife absolutely refused to go. You're going to see market shrinkage. On average, it affects the entire market. So if it is a produce item, you're going to see a market size reduction of about 20 to 25%. Only about 20% of people will actually feel that that type of product is safe to eat. The biggest impact to you as processors and manufacturers is really the cost. $10 million is the average direct cost for a recall. I have been involved in recalls that have been over $1 billion. There was a spinach recall a few years ago that was 350 million. Everybody probably remembers the peanut butter recall about 2009 that exceeded over $1 billion. And then there's the impact to us as consumers. There are still 5,000 deaths per year, 3,000 people hospitalized annually. That's a little misleading because that is not directly tied to processing and manufacturing. It could be me buying something at the grocery store, not, keeping it stored properly, cooking it and getting sick. But the key takeaway is we all know consumers do have a lot of power. And there are legalities that go with it. So anytime that a recall happens and somebody gets sick, there will be restitution paid. The scarier one is there is possible prison time. So 2009, the peanut recall led to 2 of the senior executives being given over 20 years in prison. The food safety inspector was actually given 7 years in prison, and then the plant manager and another head of the operations at the plant both testified on behalf of the prosecution and hopes for immunity, and they were both given 5 to 7 years in prison. So it's scary business. This was really the government's way of saying enough is enough. They did put the Food Safety Modernization Act into place. We all know that the Food Safety Modernization Act is probably not doing what it's supposed to be doing. So what we're seeing from the FDA is they're really wanting to take the industry from preventative, doing everything we can to prevent a recall, to predictive. But the only way you're going to be able to do that is with data. So that's where all this smart food safety comes in, total traceability. Automation is really going to help with that, moving to digitalized platforms. So it's data, making food and bev data-rich environments to be able to collect the data and put metrics in place, especially around food safety. So what are some things that you can do when it comes to improving food safety? I like the terms hygienic and sanitary design. There is room for improvement here in the US to have one set of standards similar to some of the other countries like Europe. But all hygienic or sanitary design means is really accounting for particles not getting trapped, making things in a way that they shed contaminants, so you're not allowing anything to start to build up. take into materials into consideration. We have a lot of great products. So we do have our antimicrobial products. So we do offer antimicrobial flexible conduit, whether it's metallic and non-metallic. We also have an antimicrobial detectable cable tie, our TyGenics. Now, one thing people like to come behind me and say is, oh, antimicrobial products, they lose their properties over time. That is true, but that is also not true. If you put an antimicrobial product into a non-washed down area, what happens is things grow on it, things die on it, a membrane forms. Once that membrane completely forms around the product, things can grow on top of that membrane. But all you have to do is take a hose out, spray it, and it knocks the membrane off. So do not put antimicrobial products in non-washed down areas. If you're going to use antimicrobial products, they do need to be hit with water, once a week, once a month, just to make sure that if there's anything that is built up on it, it knocks the membrane off. As long as you are hosing it down, the antimicrobial properties will stay intact for the life of the product. They're not going to disappear. We do not use a coating. We actually put the antimicrobial additive right into the product. So it is actually part of the product. So it's not a coating that's going to wear off either. Another thing people like to say is the two-piece cable tie with a stainless steel barb is a potential issue, that the barb could potentially fall out. That is not true either. We have never in our history since we've invented cable ties and added the stainless steel barb, ever have a documented case of the stainless steel barb falling out. We account for that as we produce it. But the benefit is if it actually fell out, your metal detector picks it up. So I've done a lot of testing. I got a handful of barbs from our plant. I've taken them, we ran them through metal detectors at different plants. It picks it up 100% of the time. So if it is a plastic locking mechanism and that plastic breaks, then that is actually the potential issue. And then if you look at a lot of the non-metallic products or components that we do, we actually account for the chemical damage. So we make sure to use non-metallic materials that are not likely to be damaged by chemicals. Nylon's nylon, cable tie's a cable tie. Full disclosure, it will get brittle over time. I always recommend people go through once a year, change them out. That's kind of tedious. But, look at your design, take into consideration, the closer you are to that conveyor belt, the higher degree of hygiene you really need to have. As you get to the outside walls, further away from the product, there are some cost-saving things that you can do. We have some tools that can help you with that. But cable protection is a key piece on equipment. So make sure that you're accounting for that. We do offer things like our sealing kits on our metallic flexible conduit. We do account for, on our non-metallic flexible conduit with our type A, we do account for it in design that the particles aren't going to get trapped. We do have our brand new Food and Bev hub. The benefit of the hub is it actually covers threads coming from rigid conduit into a enclosure, panel, box, anything. So it eliminates that. So just make sure you're accounting for the material, you're accounting for the chemical compatibility, you're accounting for the design of the product when it comes to increasing your food safety. So give you guys some key takeaways because I knew I threw a whole lot of information at you. On liquid ingress, if you are using a UL4 4X12 and IP69 rated system, it is an easy way to reduce downtime. We had a situation back in 2022, it was actually the first facility I visited post-pandemic that they were having a lot of downtime. We went in, walked the facility, looked at everything that was going on, and a trend formed. Was actually their install base that was the issue. They had no type of ingress protection rating on any of their flexible conduit system. Water was getting in there, it was pooling, water was getting into the controls, it was pooling. I mean, it was just it was an ingress protection nightmare. So what we did is we made the recommendation to utilize the UL4 4X12 and IP69 system. He was very reluctant at first because here we are coming in telling him, hey, it's your flexible conduit. He installed all of the recommended flexible conduit anywhere in the processing area over time. It took him, because of budgeting concerns, it did take him a little bit of time, but he was happy to report that we were able to cut 50% of his downtime. So make sure that you are utilizing a system approach for ingress protection. Ensure cable protection ratings are matched up. So if you have a 4X on a motor or control, make sure you're using 4X cable protection. If you have IP69, make sure you're using IP69. Avoid mixing different components from manufacturers. If you take my component, my competitor's components, you put them together, over time, over a short period of time, they're not going to seal properly. You're not going to have a system rating across it. And make sure that when you're out doing your preventative maintenance activities or your walks, that you're looking at things like gaskets, sealing rings, making sure that you don't have any missing covers, checking any non-metallic components that you have out there. Make sure that they're holding up to the chemicals. Those are really, probably if there was one recommendation I could give you guys to kind of help with liquid ingress, it would really be looking at the non-metallic components. And then understand that non-metallic products are going to become brittle over time. They are going to crack. They are going to create open paths. When your washdown crew comes in, they just blast. If there is an open path, there is an open path, and water is going to get in there. When it comes to corrosion protection, make sure that you are accounting for proper material selection. Ideally, stainless steel. Stainless steel is expensive. You don't have to use it everywhere. If you don't want to spend the price of stainless steel, there is options like PVC coated. But corrosion can be prolonged. It can't be prevented, unfortunately. Switching to non-metallics is not always the best choice due to the fact of the chemical compatibility. And then if you want to, if you have any mixed metals out there and you want to prolong your corrosion, just make sure that you are not mating to similar metals, because galvanic corrosion on our type of products will absolutely occur because we run electricity through it. So the nobler metal will accelerate the corrosion of the lesser metal. So as long as you are mating similar metal to similar metal, you're just fine. And then food safety. I could probably sit here and ramble on for an hour on food safety or more, but I mean, it is a top concern. We are probably going to continue to see the regulatory bodies get stricter and stricter on this. Know that the FDA, I was sitting at the Food Safety Summit, not this year, but last year, where the FDA stood up and said, we are taking this industry from preventative to predictive. So everything the Food Safety Modernization Act said, hey, we've got to do everything we can to prevent recalls. Now they want to change the game to, we want you to do everything you can to predict recalls. Starting with traceability, we'll continue to see more stuff come out. There is a lot of benefits to digitalization, data analytics, especially for preventative. Everybody's looking for innovative technology. There's a lot of exciting things that I'm working on. Unfortunately, I'm under an NDA and cannot tell you about it, but we are working on bringing some things to market for you. Food safety is not all about design, ingress protection, corrosion play into it. Like I said, if you can keep things dry, things can't grow inside of it, but I understand the difficulty to deal with condensation. We are working on condensation prevention solutions. We're just not quite there yet. Condensation's a major factor. It really occurs between two different ambient temperatures. So if you're running rigid conduit from the ceiling, from the attic into the processing area, there's a thermal break there. From the freezer to the refrigerator, there's a thermal break there. We can give you some installation techniques to prevent that, but when it comes to the washdown process and people turning their cooling system off, everything begins to sweat and condensate. Look for things like hygienic design, anything you can do to cover threads, minimize horizontal catches or flat spots are really key. And then make sure that you are looking at this from a standard perspective. So implementing standards across the entire plant is really the only way that you can control the degree of food safety. If you just do it, oh, we're going to do this piece here, this piece here, this piece here, then everything surrounding it is really a weak point. I do want to make you guys aware, you're the first group that I am actually introducing this to. We have just recently launched a new product. We did a soft launch. We are getting ready to do a full launch on it, but we have developed a static dissipation bonding kit. So this deals with, dissipating static. It's really for your piping systems and material handling areas or anywhere you're storing chemicals. So instead of doing the tedious task of doing all the welding and everything like that, this gives you an option of using this kit. It comes with 2 stainless steel straps. It does, you do need a number 4 wire. It is not included. But I mean, all it involves is just kind of tightening it down, running the wire across the 2 different piping sections, and it will dissipate static. So a lot less labor intense, a lot less material involved in this. We worked with a couple of the top engineering firms in the country to help develop this. So this is going to be range taking, so it will go from 2-inch all the way to up to 8-inch pipes. I have included all the different catalog numbers here. Again, it is made of stainless steel. So if you have stainless steel piping, stainless steel straps is exactly what you need to do, but it's just an easier way for you guys to deal with static. I do know that static is not applicable to all areas, really depends on humidity, but I do want to make everyone aware that this is a new product that we are launching for the food and bev industry. And then we have a lot more in our pipeline to come. I did develop a new tool. I call this a zone concept. So this is really an opportunity for you kind of to look at your different zones. So the first zone that's highlighted in red, what we're going to refer to as your processing and washdown zone. This is really where products are touching. This here is a poultry plant, but it's applicable to any type of plant, any type of meat, bakery, confectionery. But this is where the food is. This is where you really need to focus on your hygienic installs. This is where you want to look at UL4, 4X12, IP69 for ingress protection, making material decisions to prolong corrosion. This is where your chemicals are really hitting at it, are going to be hitting the area. Outside of that, it's a little misleading. It's kind of hard to do. But, as you get to the outside walls, this is more of a wet area. Some facilities do go in there and they just foam everything that's in a processing area. Other facilities really just focus on the equipment. So it really depends on your facility. But when you come to the wet area, you don't necessarily have to account for the chemicals. You can save costs by going with lesser materials like non-metallics that aren't going to corrode because your chemicals aren't eating it up. And then we also look into what we can do for the non-processing areas in green, and then your common areas in blue. And then any outdoor application really comes down to 3R and UV. But it goes through our portfolio and it gives you a recommendation based on ratings, based on material of where we're recommending these products to install. We worked with 3 of the top engineering firms in the nation. I got their input on this. We worked with 5 different food and bev HQs on this, getting their input and feedback on this. And then we've got a variety of different voice of customer out at the plant. So kind of looking at this from thinking from an engineer level to an installer level of how can we develop a concept to make sure that people are using the right products where they need to use the right products, but they're able to drive cost savings in these other areas where they can drive cost savings. And this is what we've developed. So this tool is available. We do what is called a preventative maintenance walkthrough. So I have a team of sales application engineers that work under me. Every one of these have been trained to do these walkthroughs. What the preventative maintenance walkthrough is, it is a 100% confidential, no cost service that we offer to Food and Bev. Full disclosure, everybody asks me, well, 100% confidential, no cost, that's too good to be true. What's in it for you guys? What's in it for us? It's how we stay close to the customer. It's how we get inside the plants, how we talk with you, how we find out about ongoing trends, how we get voice of customer. So it's a benefit to us to be in front of you, to kind of get your input on products, what you're facing, the challenges. But in order to do that, it's also a benefit to you. So what the SAE does is the SAE is really going to start at the beginning of your process. He's going to he or she will walk your plant. They're going to look at, any potential issues that you have or any issues. We do ask that we are able to document it with pictures. We will always sign an NDA if required. Now, when I say pictures, I don't want your process, I don't want your people, I don't want your intellectual property. All I want is just a picture of the actual issue. And we take the pictures in a way that if anybody was ever to see the picture, and nobody ever sees it other than the SAE and possibly me, but if anyone was to see the picture, there's nothing in there that they could ever tie back to the facility. We understand when we're talking about things like food safety, the importance of confidentiality. So it's really looking around and figuring it out. We do it with multiple of our partners around the country. So if you guys are interested, I'm asking you to please reach out to From, and then From can get in touch with me or one of our SAEs, and we can get that set up for you. I do want to make you aware that we have a variety of other tools that are available to you in Food and Bev. To the right is our picture of our Showstopper Award. So at NECA this year, we won our third Showstopper Award. So we are 300% 3 years in a row. I'm trying to figure out what we're going to do for this year. The first year, we won the Showstopper Award on the TyGenics. The second year, we won the Showstopper Award on the drain. And then this year, we actually won the Showstopper Award on the UL4 4X12 and IP69 rated Liquidtight system. So anything we can do to innovate, we are doing everything possible. And bringing R&D engineers out into facilities, talking with the plants, talking with the HQs, talking with the engineers. So we are all in on Food and Bev. We do have a Food and Bev brochure. We do have an external training that our SAs will deliver. I create what are called project books. I customize these to your plant. They're just a really good tool to have. The digital tool is the usable tool. So you can actually go in there, you can fill it out, you can standardize off it, fill it out, send it to From. They will get a quote for you on any of those products, but the actual the hard copy is just a really good tool to have on hand. It has all our product codes, all the trade sizes, everything we offer into Food and Bev. So I mean, it is just a customized book. Preventative maintenance walkthrough, we did talk about that. We do have a microsite called TNB Walkthrough if you would like more information on it. We have 5 existing Food and Bev white papers that I've written so far. I've got 2 in the works right now and other ideas to make more. If there's anything you'd like a white paper on, let me know. I am happy to do the research. I actually enjoy writing white papers and kind of figuring out. We do have what is called a CPS selection tool. So that is cable protection selection tool created with UL514B. So it's just an easy way for you guys to get in there and say, okay, this is what I have. What fitting or cable protection do I need to go with it? We have application profiles like wide and extreme, temperatures. We have sample kits for it. So we have type A sample kits, wide and extreme temp sample kits. We have the sealing kit samples. We have just a food and bev sample kit. The SAEs and agents have, so just kind of gives a variety of different products for the industry. Hygienic samples. So if you want to try those out in your facilities, we do have food and bev specifications written. We have the conduit body and Liquidtight transition sample that we can get to you, let you see how this whole thing works. The new zone concept that we just launched at Pack Expo this year. And then one of my favorite tools is the mobile solution truck. If you're not aware of the mobile solution truck, we actually have multiple trucks around the country. They will be happy to work with From and come visit you. It's just really a mini trade show. So it'd be From and ABB, T&B bringing a mini trade show to you. So let you look at the products, touch them. Our drivers are all very, very knowledgeable on our product portfolio, so they can answer any questions or any of our SAEs that are in attendance. I keep mentioning these sales application engineers. This is a team that continues to grow, so we do have national coverage. We are continuing to add, but this is the map. I don't intend anybody to do it, but I mean, I just throw this up here to let you guys know that we can cover you with a sales application engineer anywhere in the country. And then we also have Bob, who is the head of our mobile solutions truck. So all of our trucks report into Bob. So there are resources out there. We are a very heavy sales agent company, but these guys all work directly with me. So we do have coverage from our direct team anywhere that you need it. So I try to keep this to 50 minutes. I think I came in right at about 48. There is a QR code here if you want any additional information. This is my email address. So if you guys have anything you're not comfortable asking here, feel free to reach out to me directly. But with that, I will go ahead and open it up for any questions and answers.
Hey, Brian, we actually did get 2 questions in the Q&A.
Okay.
One being, would the static dissipation bonding kit be appropriate for dry ingredient transportation piping?
Yes. So anywhere you have material handling, dry ingredient, yes, absolutely.
And then we had another question, which, see, I like this one too. Can AV visit a facility with From's team to help evaluate their currently installed hardware?
Well, you kind of broke up there. Can ABB?
Sorry. Visit a facility with From's team to kind of help evaluate their current installed hardware?
Absolutely, 100%. Get in touch with me. I will make sure that if I can't attend, then one of my sales application engineers will come, but absolutely 100%.
Hey, Brian, I also had 3 questions that came in via email during this presentation. The first one was, are there plans by ABB to manufacture stainless steel conduit bodies with the IP69K rated gasket?
So the IP69 and IP69K is a little misleading. So the IP69K actually comes from the rail industry. It was never meant to carry over to the electrical industry. So we rate everything IP69 and not IP69K. And if you look at the 2 tests, they're virtually the exact same. I think it's millimeters difference in where the nozzle is placed. But we are in conversations to do it. Currently, what we have is all of our conduit bodies are UL NEMA 4X rated. But if there is enough people out there that want IP69 on the conduit bodies, absolutely. We've heard it a couple times so far. I know our product team is looking into how to do it without doing 2 totally separate offerings. One of the things that we're talking about is just developing an easy kit. I mean, really, when it comes to you have a stainless steel conduit body, you have an IP69 conduit body. The only difference in the two is the gasket. That's it. It's just the gasket. So if you guys would like us to, we are happy to develop it.
Okay. The next question was, how long before non-metallic products become brittle?
So it really depends. There's a lot that goes into that. So if you tell me the material you're using and the chemical you were using, I can get you a really a good estimation. Now, without knowing those two things, your nylon, you're talking 4 months. If you look at our non-metallic type A fitting, you're talking years. So it depends on the material and it depends on the chemical. If you're using stuff like PAA or any of the other acid-based cleaners, those are really, really harsh. PAA at full strength will make stainless steel smoke, just to kind of give you an idea. They don't use it at the full strength. I mean, it's concentrated, but there are a lot of those harsh cleaners out there. So it could be anywhere from 4 months to 2 years. But it is going to happen with just about every non-metallic material. So it depends on the material and it depends on the chemical you're using.
Okay. The last question that we have here is, when will the static dissipation device be launched? And are there any flyers or sell sheets or anything related to that?
So I have 1,000 of them in stock today. So they are ready if you guys want to sell them. The product launch team is actually working on doing some updated launch material, but there is a product sheet available today and there is a video available today. So I can get both of those to you. And then on the sheet will be all the different product codes that are in stock.
All right. Well, Brian, that ends the Q&A session. I thank you for an informative presentation, and thanks to anyone who joined us today and anyone that will watch this presentation in the future once we make it available online. Before we wrap up, I just wanted to mention that, From is dedicated to helping our customers succeed by offering industry-specific products, guidance, and solutions. We'd love to partner with you and get a chance to look at your operations and understand how we can help you meet your unique challenges. If you want to learn more about our products and the products we distribute and the services we offer, including the solutions that you've seen Brian talk about today, please visit us at from.com to reach out. And thanks again. And we appreciate you joining us. So I hope everybody has a great day. Brian, thank you. And all right, we'll sign off.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.